All right, boys and girls, welcome once again to the Real Life on the Bass Kayak and Beers podcast. It's your boy Armando. If you're tuning in live, thank you for tuning in. Leave us a comment. If you have any questions for my guest today, feel free to throw them on the comment section. Let me know where you're listening or watching from. If you are listening to our MP3 format, which goes live every Monday, remember you can listen on any podcast streaming platform. And if you use something like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, feel free to give us your reviews. It will really help out with the growth of the podcast. Today, we have a great episode. We got Rolando Nandin and Ryan Lunch Money Lambert. We're going to be previewing the Hobie BOS in Sam Rayburn, which is going to be a couple of weeks from now. We are also going to be talking about the season that we've been having for the Kayak series in the national side, both the Hobie BOS and the Bass Nation Kayak Series. And also, we'll be talking a little bit about the Native Bass Power Hour, which is in its second season. That's going to be like the third national trail that has been emerged. I got Metal Jones. Thank you for tuning in. The guys from the Dark Horse Tackle. If you haven't listened to that episode, that's probably one of my favorite episodes I've recorded lately. Feel free to go check it out on our library. Just kind of give you a heads up. The next 3 episodes are going to be pre-recorded episodes, and I've recorded them back to back to back. Next week's episode should be with Duke Tran. We're going to be talking about the Lone Star Throwdown and the Bass Nation, the Texas Bass Nation Kayak Series. They're holding an event in conjunction with the Lone Star Throwdown. Some exciting news about that. It looks like, I don't know if I'm free to say it, but I'll throw it in right there. It looks like we might have a Texas Bass Nation Kayak Series for next season. Not just one event like they've done in the past 2 years, but actually a series that's going to be running in Texas. So Texas Bass Nation Kayak Series. So tune into that episode. After that, we're going to have Paul Roberts, that Jabberhammer, is going to join me the Thursday after that. And then the first Thursday of October, I am going to be having pre-recorded episode. Jigs and Bigs is going to be on this episode. So Roast Beef is going to be joining me. I already recorded those episodes, so it's going to be exciting to listen to those episodes. So remember, they're going to be pre-recorded episodes, still going to be at the same time on YouTube and Facebook if you want to watch. And if you listen on MP3 format, they're still going to be uploaded each Monday. Then after that, I come back from vacation and I should be interviewing a winner of the Lone Star Throwdown and the Bass Nation Kayak Series in Texas. That, again, was in conjunction with the Lone Star Throwdown. Unless the guys from KBN swoop them in on Monday, and then I'll probably think of something else. But anyways, let's bring these guys in. We got Rolando Nandin, local hammer here. How you doing, Rolando?
Good. How you doing, Armando?
Appreciate you taking the time. I know you've been very busy, so I appreciate you taking the time to join us on the podcast. And of course, we got Lunch Money Lambert. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
How's that leg coming up?
I'm walking on it now, man. I'm just trying. The tendon's still really tight from where they repaired it, so I just got to get it kind of stretched back into working order. But I'm at least able to walk around in regular shoes now, so that's a plus.
I got the music playing in my back in my mind right now from Kayak Bass Nation.
That's a good intro.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, you're really making a case for kayak anglers being athletes. Like Aaron Rodgers can't handle an Achilles tear, but you are still out there fishing on one Achilles.
I don't recommend it. I wouldn't tell anybody else to do it. I felt like I had to if I wanted to have any shot at making the T.O.C. So that was kind of my last ditch effort. Right now I'm in, but you know that it all depends on what happens at Rayburn. I'm afraid I might get bumped back to like last year. I think I was like the second alternate or something. So
yeah,
just so close. It's depressing.
What in the standings? What are you? It's up this year. It's like
44th or something. Yeah, I'm in like. 44th.
Oh yeah, you should be good, right?
I don't know, but I mean, you never know unless you really sit down with a spreadsheet and run the numbers, how many people haven't fished X amount of tournaments, or what tournaments they have to cull. There could be a lot of moving and shaking on Rayburn. I think Rayburn's probably going to fish tough for a lot of people, just being that time of the year and some of the conditions, and we'll get into that later. But I think that might be my only hope of kind of keeping people down on the point scale a little bit.
Yeah.
Also it's like how of the ones underneath you that have a shot at leapfrogging you, how many of them are actually fishing Rayburn, right?
Right. So that's the thing is, I mean, I don't know. What's the attendance, Rolando? Do you know what the attendance is right now?
Last
Roughly?
I checked was 67, but I can tell you right now, it wasn't very good actually.
Yeah,
Well,
last time I checked
lacrosse was
right, I'm
really
sorry.
slow too. Like when I signed up for lacrosse right before the cutoff, it was at like 52 that Tuesday, and then I sign up and it's like 90, and I was like, "That." I thought I was about to get some easy
Actually,
points on that deal.
I'm looking at it right now. It stands at 57.
Really,
Yeah.
57.
Yeah.
dude?
So
Ah,
that is a
I want
good
to fish it
segue.
so freaking bad, man.
I know, right? I'm so tempted. If I wasn't on vacation, I'd be
I know I'll
fishing
be
it.
in Idaho. That's the only reason I went and fished lacrosse on one leg, is because I'll be in Idaho elk hunting, and I had no option. I couldn't
Still
fish
with one
Rayburn.
Achilles, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh
Take
yeah.
that, Aaron Rodgers.
One-legged man out here.
All right. So
Trying
that
to
is
log
a
in.
that is a good segue to start with, because I wanted to, and I'm not picking on Hobie BOS. Like Rolando, Ryan,
Wait. You said 50 something?
Texas, right? Texas.
No, I
Oh,
don't
I'm
think that's
sorry. That's the Texas Kayak Bass League.
no. It's
Why don't know why?
91.
Oh,
Said
it moved to
91.
91. Wait a minute.
Oh, okay. There you go.
There you go.
Honestly, I expected Rayburn to pull. I think it'll probably pull 120s or 130 is what I think. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what at least that. I think it'll definitely pull some more people.
Did
But
I
yeah,
click?
it's not
Oh,
gonna
I
fit.
clicked the
It's
wrong
not gonna.
one. Yes,
I
I
hope it
clicked
does.
Texas people.
I hope it pulls a full field. That way,
Yeah.
that way a
You
lot
know
of
me
these folks
too.
are
That
going to
way I
get
can have a
points.
third. That way I can have a third trophy at a full field.
Hey, there you go.
My two trophies I have been full fields.
We hadn't seen one since. People quit. They quit filling it up after you kept doing that.
No, I think it's the economy, man. It's squeezing people's pockets. It's tough.
I think that's some of it. I think
Some
it's
of it.
some
I
of
mean,
it.
yeah, it's not all of it, but there that plays a little role into it.
For
And
sure.
that's
Everybody always says
interesting.
that tax time. They say tax time like people are getting the rebate checks out there trying to fish all these tournaments. I think a lot of that's just kind of spring fever. The bite's going to be good at these places, and
Yeah,
everybody wants to go fish them. Not as many people want to go fish in
in the fall.
July or August or September.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Now, like I said, we're not picking on Hobie BOS. All three of us have fished the Hobie BOS. Heck, all three of us are AJ's biggest fan and Hobie BOS biggest fan. But it does seem like they've struggled. I wouldn't say struggled. They're not as popular as they took a step down from last year. Noticeable step down. It used to be, I mean, last year I know there was a bunch of them that seemed like they were sold out, but they weren't really sold out. A lot of people canceled and got refunds at the end, but they were still constantly in that 150 to 200 range. Not as much the ones up north, but generally those don't do as much attendance as the one down south. This one is 91, which is not bad, but a tournament, Rolando, you can attest to this. Any national trailer stops in Texas is going to get at least 150, and it still has a shot getting 150. But in your opinion, Ryan, I'll start off with you, and then Rolando, you can chime in. What do you think are one of the reasons why maybe Hobie BOS is not doing as great? Now, before we go into like, well, maybe the economy, we like to consider that Bassmaster Nation Kayak Series is actually outperforming in attendance. So a lot of it can't be just like it's not affecting them equally, I guess.
I don't. Well, I think a big part of that is we've had Bassmaster around for a few years now. It wasn't really being ran optimally, and I think once they made
That's
that
putting it nicely, by the
move
way.
and put, well, I'm trying to be PC, but once they made that move and really took the leap on finding somebody that was really committed to making it excellent. I think that really got a lot more people's support. Like people wanted to fish it before, but when you have these other hurdles and there's a better option, because at that time Hobie was heads and shoulders above,
Agree.
being a better option. So that, people didn't have to really scratch their head over it. Now they have Steve-O running it. Bassmaster has done a fantastic job of
Hmm.
promoting the anglers and the events and having them on the website with the elites on their Instagram. Like they have done such a great job with it.
Yeah.
I think now there's not a reason not to fish the Bassmaster. Like unless you just hate motors or something, there's not a reason
Yeah.
not to fish that series. So I don't necessarily think that it's anything Hobie's done wrong, but I think it's a lot of things that Bassmaster has done right. Like I think, they have that legacy name, they have the logo that people recognize, that a lot of people grew up, with it on the back windshield of their truck, or,
Hmm.
wearing the
Yeah.
hats or whatever. I think that, kind of nostalgia ties into a lot of, the brand itself. But I don't think Hobie's made any mistakes. I think them going up on entry fees and going up on the number of entry slots, I think they kind of, hurt themselves on the supply and demand. Like they had the
Yeah.
formula down last year. When you have people selling out your events, I mean, it was like, Black Friday sales or something. When a tournament would go live, you would just
Oh yeah.
watch the
Yeah.
numbers just skyrocket. Don't mess
Yeah.
with it. Why would you like?
Yeah.
I don't get it. That's what I don't understand about, that dynamic. No matter what field you're in, basic economics applies. Supply and demand. They had it figured out, and now they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like what I think it bothers a lot of people about the entry fees being more expensive. It really felt unjustified when you look at the Bass. Is it Bassmaster? I heard you say Bassmaster. Bassmaster, Bass Nation Kayak Series. I can't keep up. Did I say that
Uh,
right?
Bass. I think it's
But it's
Bassmaster
the same.
Kayak
We all know
Series.
what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, Bass Nation. I think the Bass
That's
Nation's like
different.
each
Yeah.
state. Yeah, so
Oh,
like
okay,
Tennessee
okay.
Bass Nation, Texas Bass Nation, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
I always get it confused. My apologies on that. So it feels unjustified considering that the Bassmaster Kayak Series never raised their prices. And when you think about it, Bassmaster is more like, well, we need our money because we provide a service, so we need to make a
Yeah.
profit out of it.
Mhm.
Whereas Hobie BOS is a manufacturing company, which this is more of a publicity
Marketing or
marketing
advertising
machine
tool.
that
Yeah.
pays self-sustain. So I agree with you on that. Rolando, your thoughts on it? Do you think that's partially true? Do you think the rule changes or the now people are more moving into motorized kayak has something to do with it?
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with Ryan. I think a lot of it has to do with the publicity that you just get getting into,
Yeah,
you doing Bassmasters versus a Hobie. And of course, the motor plays a big role because I've personally talked to people that have skipped out on tournaments because they can't use a motor. And so that plays obviously into it, right? And last year I think I won a first place and I got 10,500, and then I won a first place in 2023 and I only got 10,000. So my payout went down, right?
poor
So
Rolando.
yeah, yeah, it's not a
Only
but
won
Complain
10
about
grand
five
at the
hundred
but
dollars.
tournament.
Yeah, yeah,
but what I'm saying is that I still love Hobie, man, and I love AJ.
yeah,
I think they run a great organization. I really can't. At the end of the day, though, when you got the government squeezing everybody's pockets, you got still inflation lingering around, things like that. You got to figure out a way to, if you're not going to make it up in the money aspect of winning, then at least showcase the anglers
Mhm.
in some way, right? It's you know I feel like there needs to be something, and I think honestly, moving from 22 to 23, I really didn't feel like there was a step up. It was
yeah.
almost kind of a step down.
With a higher pay rate, entry fee.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah. So it's good for those. It pays down a little bit further. That's awesome. That's great. We all have to have a little bit of skin in the game, so to speak, right? But we need to find a way to pour more money into it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's just gotten so expensive these days just to do, all this stuff. So prices of things have gone up, lures have gone up. Shit, I've cut back on buying stuff in Tackle Warehouse. I'm trying to, utilize what I have in my garage and not order as much. Because I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it from the economy side as well. And so I'm just kind of trying to, you know, save a little bit here and there. But Bassmasters, unfortunately, I haven't done it as much as this year as I wanted to, like I do a Hobie. But I don't know. I'm in this transition right now in my life where like I'm trying to focus on my work. I'm trying to do the fishing, and I really enjoy the fishing, man. Like I just really want to make a good living doing fishing, but it doesn't pay enough right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's tough.
Something.
I mean, that's even like the pros, the bass boat pros, like they'll tell you. I mean, it's like they're working 4 or 5 different jobs. They're doing the social media stuff. They're doing the YouTube stuff. They're doing, all the commercials and stuff for their sponsors. Like it's not just fishing. Turns out.
No, no, it's not. You got to
I
be a
feel.
bit. You got to be a good business minded deal
Yeah.
because you got to be good with all those little different things going on at the same time and managing and time blocking your stuff because you got, you know, uh, creating social media content. It is time consuming.
I feel like we have to have Oliver Anthony singing on the background while we discuss this. But it is true, and it has affected it. Also I think a lot of it has to do with the pandemic being over. A lot of people, I think, gravitated to outdoor activities during the pandemic, and
Mhm.
now a lot of people going back to work and responsibilities. Um, and
Our
I
new
think
our
that
new
plays.
pandemic starts next year though, so don't
Yeah,
worry.
I just
It's
read
still
about it. I
new
just read about
pandemic's
it.
loading. Don't
Somebody
worry.
sent me the link. I'm like, here we
Yeah, it's
go
gonna be
again.
a 2.0,
Yep,
COVID 2.0.
yep, we got
Yeah,
it coming.
you know how it's gonna happen. But, anyways, Bassmaster Kayak Series. Is it just as simple as saying the difference is Steve Owens, or is there more obviously? In my opinion, I think you can name all the changes, but and Ryan, Jeff Malott on your podcast, and I talked a lot on my podcast, and we all got a little bit of heat of it because people were saying, "Well, you guys are haters. Why you putting them down?" But I felt like it needed to be talked about, and you guys came to the same conclusion that I came to. It's like there's only needs to be one change in the whole Bassmaster Kayak series, and that's just put somebody at the helm.
Yep.
Triple
And
down effect for the best.
literally when we had John Stewart and Dwayne on when they first announced the Bassmaster Kayak series, I literally said on that first episode, I was like, you need to hire Steve Owens to run the kayak
Yeah, I
side.
remember that.
And then 3 years later, it's like, hey man, we should hire Steve Owens to run the kayak side. And then it goes through the roof, and it's like, okay, well, at least they got there. At least they got there.
Yeah,
But
we got
but
there.
I
It's
agree.
fixed
I
now.
mean, I think that was it, man. Like,
Yeah.
not and they invested in the idea of it and listened to Steve on what he advised them to do, and that's the biggest thing, is just buying in on it, just going all in.
What do
Mhm.
you what do you think it's the biggest difference he has made? Because it's really on the field and off the field, kind of borrow a sports term.
I think
The
the
changes.
confidence of the anglers, like the anglers knowing that he's going to take care of it, like
Yeah.
whatever it is, whatever comes up, that he has thought through the details and has really put the experience first. And that's one of the other things. Like we were talking about the differences between BOS. Now BOS, the board check, there's a mandatory like 45 minute to an hour meeting where you sit and have the rules explained to you or read to you or whatever. Like, that's just another little thing. And it's not, is it a huge deal? No, but it's still like, you've been up there pre-fishing for 2 or 3 days, you've been on the water for 8 or 9 hours, you're sweaty, starving to death, and you gotta sit there through another meeting. And most people, most of us have fished these events before, so you're pretty much aware of it. And it's, again, on the angler to read the rules. If you go into a tournament and you don't know the rules, then in my opinion, you're asking for, something terrible to happen. But
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, I understand he wants to be clear on stuff, but that's one thing that I would cut out immediately is that that lengthy process. If there's any specific boundaries or anything to that particular body of water that's different, if they allow portaging or something, something really specific that you want to touch on, go for it. But like, sitting there for 45 minutes or so is just painful in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. I'm every time I think back
Yeah.
of that, I'm starving every time at that point.
I know, dude.
And they
I'm sitting there,
eliminated the
I can
pizza. That's
smell
another
myself.
factor. Yeah.
I'm just sitting there like disgusted with the smell of myself, and I'm starving to death. I'm like, all right, let's let's get something done here, guys.
So Rolando, you fished it the Bass Nation or Bassmaster Kayak Series last year and this year. What to you is one of the biggest improvement you've seen fishing those trails?
Um, well, I mean, I haven't fished the Bassmasters I fished. Was it this year that we did fork early, right? That was freezing. Was that this
Yeah.
year? No.
Yeah, that was this
Yeah.
this year. It feels like so long ago, right?
Yeah, it
Was
does
it
feel
this
like
year?
it's so long ago. I think, well, I personally I did like the structure, the whole restriction of the launch stuff. That to me, I
Yeah.
think was in a positive
Yeah.
direction. Um, when you're talking about semi-professional fishing, and Bassmasters for me also has done, when ever since they brought Steve over, Steve just makes you feel like you've known the guy for like 30
Yeah.
years, man. Like that when you can connect with someone like that, you really can appreciate the organization.
Mhm.
So that to me was definitely a big deal. Um, but I don't fish enough Bassmasters because it just, I just really haven't because of my work. But the Hobies I have, and I feel like there's been an improvement definitely from the last year to this year, in the sense of the way it's ran. But the only thing is the payout stuff. It's just hasn't been all that all that good.
I
And
personally like the top 10% payout. I get it.
you talking for Bassmaster, right?
Well, like from
Hobie.
what Hobie moved
Last year, yeah.
to what they're doing now, paying top 15% down the
Yes.
field, that just waters down the guys at the top. And I get it. You want people to be able to take $100 home or
Mhm.
$200 home. But if you're the guy at the top, do you want 8 grand or do you want 10 grand? Like, to me, 10 grand is the number. That's the number we should be shooting for all of
Right,
these
right.
tournaments. I don't care what
Mhm.
series it is. That should be the target. However
Yeah.
you need to do it, cut the cookie however you want to, but 10 grand is what we need to be shooting for to win these things.
I agree in the payout schedule. I liked last year. I don't see the point, and I haven't looked at the payouts that much this year. I know I looked at it last year, especially with the Bassmaster Kayak Series. I don't like it when the payout is equal to your entry fee. And this could be a stupid reason, Ryan and Rolando, you can correct me if you think this is a stupid reason. But the whole thing about it is move money, right? You get people, you come, you buy in, you pay the entry fee, and then the money is gonna move to whoever performed the best.
Yeah.
If you're paying out what you already paid in, it's like you did nothing. It's you got your money back. To me, it's like they should be like the payout should end at twice your entry fee. If your entry fee was 250, the lowest payout, in my opinion, should be 500.
I get what you're saying.
I said, like you said, however you want, because I don't see the point. The whole point is moving the money.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
the whole point is winning, but the business side of it is
Yeah.
move the money.
Yeah.
If you're paying 10 anglers, the last 10 payouts are going to be the same as what you paid in. Then when it comes to the payout, you look at the payout, you say, okay, we got 200 anglers. Discount the last 10 because that money just stayed in one place. So you really have 190. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the way I see it. Like that money never moved. It went from one pocket and ended up in one pocket because you paid out, let's say 10 people, whatever the entry fee was. So that's
I
my
get it.
thought.
I get it from the ROI standpoint. Like you
Mhm.
didn't get a return on your investment
Yeah.
when you're just taking your own money back home. Like
Exactly.
you didn't gain anything from the event.
Although you
Obviously
do feel good
points,
when you
but
do walk away with it because you're like, well, at
Oh,
least I
yeah.
saved
Oh, yeah.
something, right?
for
But
sure. Yeah. That's why we
But-
try to go find a pool hall or something at night. So you can at least take somebody's money, do something.
Yeah, yeah. I am a
So,
pool player, by the way, Ryan. I love
Come
playing
on with it.
oh, there you go.
Find me in Pendergraph, and we'll get out and have a good time.
The other thing that you touched on it a little bit, Ryan, and I know Drew Gregory and some of the crew that really love skinny water fishing are coming with a new trail that's going to be all inclusive, right? And one of the things that I'll give him props to Drew Gregory and his team that are organizing this, it seems like they're really putting the fun in kayak fishing tournament. And but what I mean by that, for those that haven't fished national trails, I pretty much stay with Rolando Nandin, which I would anytime Rolando Nandin is going to the tournament, I am looking to house in the same house he is because I know how professional he is. He's always, let's go by the book. If we're going to talk about anything, let's just make sure we're professional about it. Let's make sure nobody's get disqualified. But one thing I'll tell you, if you never fish a tournament, you stay with Rolando Nandin, it is boring in the sense that it is business. You're coming here to do business. You get up early in the morning, you go fishing, you come back, you don't go to the bar,
That's
you
the same
stay
way in
home.
my house, brother. I
You,
run a
yeah,
tight ship.
right. Yeah, right. And I was like,
Ain't nobody messing around in my place.
and
Hey,
I
don't
know
want.
for
No, I do like my scotch, man. So just you
Rolando, I've
introduce it, I
never
tend
seen
to
you
loosen
drink
up a
in a
little bit.
tournament. I never see you, but a lot of it is going back to what you were saying, Ryan. It's like the only fun about it is competing in the tournament. This year there was one tournament, one I don't know if it's the Hobie BOS or Bassmaster, I can't remember, but the day one was canceled because there was this huge storm that never came.
Santa
Santee
Cooper.
Cooper, and you guys, I remember watching you on social media having fun that
We
day.
had so much fun.
Exactly, like
We had all the Canadians come out, like everybody. We went to this, just picked a random hole in the wall, and that was so much fun because there was no pressure. You couldn't fish, so I
yeah,
mean,
you
what
couldn't
else you
even
got to do?
pre-fish.
Yeah.
So I see what they're doing over there, Duga Grayson over there, and I give them props. I think they're putting the fun back in it. Do you feel, Ryan and Rolando, that that's something that needs to evolve with this national trails, Bassmaster and Hobie BOS?
Well, go ahead, Ryan.
I don't know that it has. I don't know that, if you're going to run the top tier professional level tournament series, it doesn't have there doesn't have to be a fun aspect of it. Yeah, I mean, like you're there for a reason for that tournament, whatever. If you want to go hang out with your buddies or do whatever in addition to that, that's fine. But when I was talking about the Hobie meeting beforehand, I think instead, like if you're gonna do something like that because you want people to be there together. And I think that's AJ's premise behind this mandatory meeting is he wants everybody there together, interacting with each other,
Safety as
talking
well.
to each other. Yeah, like so these municipalities can see how many people actually showed up for this, their return on their investment.
Yeah,
But I think you have to, if you're going to make people do that, do something fun.
exactly.
Have a cornhole tournament, or when they used to do pizza, it doesn't have to be food oriented, but some kind of activity, a flipping contest, like something just to make it,
Hmm.
more relaxed instead of like you're at school, like you're getting a lecture. I just do something fun with it. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And I think as we're kind of seeing the hierarchy of the tournament trails shake out, I think it's a great spot for Hobie to be in too. Be a little more relaxed with it, make it a little more fun. And it's if they're going to stick with the human powered thing, you're going to cater to those entry level anglers as well that don't go drop 20 grand on a rigged out motorized kayak. They can still come in, have a good time, pedal or paddle, whatever they choose to do. But I think that's a good spot for Hobie to move into.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's what I meant. If you're gonna make everybody show up, I feel like try to supply some fun with it, some
Yeah.
relief.
Yeah.
Rolando, I'll let you answer as well. What do you think about that?
Yeah, when we do the local stuff here, the Texas Kayak Bass League and things like that, we do sometimes they have some fun stuff that we do beforehand. And absolutely, that just gets you in that whole mood, right? Relaxed, you're enjoying the time being there. I think that's super important. Reading the rules, yeah. Honestly, at that level, if you're already going to those type of events, you already you should have already done your due diligence and read the rules.
Yep.
And if anything happens after the fact, that's shame on you. You know what I mean? So there is absolutely no need to rerun through that. And I think that time can be utilized to definitely bond and kind of find some fun time, especially the flipping thing. That I enjoy doing that. That's kind of
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've done it. They used to do it at the original Hobie Opens on Kentucky Lake. Jay Wallen would usually mop the floor with everybody every year, but that was just little stuff like that. But they also had food and beverages and
Yeah.
whatnot, and I think that's part of it, man. Get the conversation going, get new guys in. Like we had a new guy staying down the road from us in La Crosse, and it was like a 1-bedroom kind of shed. He was by himself. We saw him there every day. So finally, Saturday night, I told Pendergraph, I was like, we're pulling over. Like, we're dragging this kid out of the house. And we made him come sit and hang out with and that was his first kayak tournament. Like, his first big tournament. He didn't know anybody. And he just hung around with me and Pendergraph and Abby for like 2 hours and just told stories. I was like, this is the point. This is what we're supposed to be doing. Like, now this kid loves it. He's going to try to branch out and go fish more national tournaments. And who knows, he may be the next Hammer.
Yeah. Man, I'm afraid to get with you in a Pendergraph, man, because I get a couple of drinks, man. I'll let loose, dude. And I'll forget I have a tournament next day.
Well, that's happened, and that's how Mark Pendergraph became the Possum King. Same deal. We got to shooting pool and shot pool all night, and then he won the whole deal.
No, man, that's funny. And I like to shoot pool. I used to do pool tournaments back when I was younger.
Yeah,
Every
I think
Friday.
he played bar leagues out there in Texas.
Ah.
Mark's good now. I don't give him credit for much, but he's good at pool.
Every Friday when we're staying with Rolando, it's the same conversations. Hey, Ryan and the guys are at this bar. You guys want to join? It was like, yeah, and there's like, nah, we gotta fish tomorrow. We can't hang with these guys. Never mind,
dude,
scratch it.
yeah.
We're rigging.
When I hear you guys are local, when I hear y'all are like nearby, I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, dude, I already know myself. I'm like, if I go to this thing, I already know. I get a couple of drinks, dude, and it's over, man. It's like it's nonstop.
It's the last year at Broken Boy. I remember we got to the parking bar. The bar is like, nah, let's make a U-turn. We gotta pick up. We gotta get ready.
Buddy, Broken Bow. That one went to like 2:30 or 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Like I was. Yeah, I might as well have just driven straight to the boat ramp from there. I slept like 45 minutes and then finished 10th in the tournament.
That's a formula for
that's pretty good.
You pulled the Josh Smith from Dark Waters.
Oh yeah, dude. I forgot about that. That interview. That was hilarious.
Classic.
Gosh.
No, yeah. Armando likes. He's a coffee guy. I'm a big coffee guy. So
yeah.
We share that in common. And I'm a big Scotch guy. So I don't know, Ryan. What do you drink?
Anything.
Anything.
I'm down for whatever. I mean, like
the economy is tough right now.
I will. Yeah. I mean, I won't turn down a free drink. That's for sure. But yeah, I do have a preference. But
I like tequila and Sprite or something. If we're going somewhere drinking liquor drinks, I like that little combo. If there's like a good local beer, I like a few good local beers, and then I'll switch off to something else. But Jack is always a staple as well. But if I'm sipping something, I'm fine with sipping a glass of bourbon if we're having a calm night. But
nice.
You can't. And with us, it starts off as a calm night, and then you're sipping bourbon, and then you're $90 deep into a tab, and you're like, "Well,
oh, I know." Yeah.
When
I first started fishing, I used to take my own whiskey.
Yeah.
And I used to just kind of, I love whiskey, and then over the years, I do enjoy a Scotch. So.
I'm not a connoisseur of Scotch yet. I'll drink it, a little smoky taste, but I'm not.
Yeah, you know what it is. Like you'll hear with wine that the price doesn't really dictate the wine. Scotch is a little different. Scotch, the price does dictate kind of like, the quality. Yeah. So definitely. But next time we go around, man, I'm gonna have to bring one so you can try it.
There you go. So let's shout out to some of the people that are watching and listening. Albert, buddy Albert, Lance McWhorter, he's coming a couple of times. Richie, keep me up on the TNF on the Thursday Night Football. Also, I got a comment from Daniel Perry, our co-host or the host of the Advanced Kayak Angler. He says, if y'all have 100 attendance shares to split next year between KBF, Hobie, Bass, All American, Native, and Adventure Kayak Series, how do
Ooh.
you all think it will shake out? I'm not sure I understand the question, but if you guys understand it.
Hmm.
I think he's asking like majority share of, where it's going to go. Um, I
I don't
think
do
that
much KBF.
I don't think anybody does anymore. I think no, I mean I'm being serious. Like their
No, yeah,
numbers
you're right.
are
It's
down in the 30s and 40s. But
yeah.
I think the native one, in my opinion, the native and the adventure kayak series are kind of in a different bracket. Like I wouldn't put those in with the national trail things. I think those are more kind of novelty. Like if they come close and you're off that weekend, it'll be a fun time. But like the native thing, I don't think people are trying to like chase the series around. You know what I mean? Like if it's on your favorite lake or whatever, and hey, I can go catch a big bass and win $1,000 or whatever. I think that's the appeal to that. But I think you still have the same probably four major players. All American seems to have taken a little step back this year as well, attendance wise. But I mean, I'd say you're still looking at Hobie and Bass top two, and right now it seems like Bass is probably 60-40 on that right now, I would say. Depending on what changes are made going into next year, Hobie could catch up or it could swing even more.
Your thoughts, Rolando?
Yeah, I mean, I think Hobie and Bass is really. I've never done the All American stuff. I've seen it. I've seen the attendance on it. Native, I've never fished it, so I don't really understand how many actually people attend that. But I mean, in my eyes, I only focus on Hobie and Bass. That's my
Are you
main focus.
are you gonna fish the Native Bass Power Hour when it comes to Lake Fork this
Fork.
on October? Yeah,
It's Halloween.
Mm,
Is it Halloween? Right around Halloween?
yeah, October 28th. Yeah,
Yeah.
ooh.
Jeff
Well,
is coming down here. He says.
Yep. That's what he said.
oh, if he's coming, well, shoot, man, I actually hadn't given it too much thought. Honestly, I can make my own schedule so I can really go and do that. But honestly, I really hadn't given it too much thought because in my schedule really only filled in for Hobie and Bass. That's all I really kind of did. I kind of want to do a lot more fishing next year, and I'm trying to start a YouTube channel.
There you go.
So I got a nice computer now, so I'm trying to get familiar with the whole downloading and making sure the content is good and stuff and I just got to learn to be an actor, man, because honestly uh these deals are going to you're going to require to be good in front of the camera. But
Yeah.
Hobie and Bass is all I really focus on, man, and it's hard for me to say anything else about All American or Native because I just never really fished them and I haven't given it too much thought.
The All American Kayak Series, I haven't fished it. They made some interesting changes this year, and
They
I'm
went to
sure they did.
A
Yeah,
Friday tournament day, and I didn't think that was a good move, but
yeah. I don't. It felt like, and I don't know. I don't want to pass judgment. I wish everybody does well. I want everybody, even including KBF. If people enjoy it, hey, the more trails that do better, the 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 faster the growth. So I don't want anybody to fail. However, on the All American Bass Kayak Series, I felt like there were some changes just for the sake of making changes. Like I was like, I don't understand the changes. I don't see the logic behind it. Maybe they did the research, maybe they listened to the anglers, and that's what they wanted, but hasn't translated to getting better. So I mean, it's interesting. I hope it works out. I hope they find that chemistry. It might just be one of those things where it's like, hey, we already have too many national trails. There's not enough money or population of kayak anglers out there to fill them all up. We already see one. We already seen KBF. Again, it's not that I wish they would leave or anything like that. I would hope they would do great, but the reality is, it seems like it's on its way out. And now you've seen the Native Bass Power Hour, which I agree with what Ryan was saying. It doesn't feel like a national trail. It doesn't have an AOI, but they do have found a formula. And I wanted to share a little bit of their numbers this year. I mean, Susquehanna 153.
yeah.
That's good. I mean, it's still, we understand Susquehanna is going to pull big numbers. Oregon, if you were to say, on the West Coast, Bass Nation, Bassmaster, and Hobie BOS have struggled to get attendance over there. This is Oregon, which is not known for their bass fishing.
Yep.
83 anglers. That's not bad at all. I
That's
mean,
more than
83
Hobie had on the Delta the last time they were out there.
exactly. In Oregon, 83. I mean, they have
Mhm.
found a some formula of success, and it's I want to
I
look
think
at it.
it's because it's a tournament that's not like the other tournaments. It's not a traditional 5 fish limit. You have the chance for that one big fish to really, bring you home some money and a kayak. And I think that's the biggest thing. And I think they need to keep the format that they have. Don't
Yeah,
change it. Don't go to an AOY deal where people are chasing this around. You have the winning formula. This is the same deal as we just talked
yeah.
about with
Mhm.
BOS earlier. You have a winning formula, run with it. Just
So
keep
that's 50.
duplicating.
So that's 15 fish, but really that's just a big bass, right? Is that what we're talking about here?
So it's big bass and it's overall. So it's an MLF style event. So
Yeah.
if it's all the fish you can catch in a day, or
Ah,
it's an hourly big bass payout and an overall big bass.
Yeah, there's a lot of money. That's the thing. There's a lot of money going out with an entry fee that's 125.
Hmm.
And depending on the attendance, they give out 3 kayaks.
Yep.
One for the
oh shoot.
winner, one for the I think the other one is for the big bass, and another one is a raffle. So I
Yep.
was like, man, whatever they're doing, they're putting some. I mean, it's a low entry fee with a kind of like low risk, high reward kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they're coming to Lake Fork when?
You already got it.
The last weekend in October.
We need some
Okay.
royalties for this, guys, from Native Bass Bar. We already
The
got one.
28th, huh?
It's
Yep.
only right now in 9 people, which I'm surprised. I know Texas anglers. I'm not picking on you guys, but we know we signed. Hey, I haven't signed up for the
They,
Lone Star Throwdown, so but I will. But we procrastinate on that. So far, there's only 9, but I hope that number grows.
oh yeah,
I'm sure it will.
PK's up, man. Ooh, that should be good.
Yeah. So let's dive into the AOY race for the Hobie BOS because I think that's very interesting. Last 3 years, your boy, you were minor, Ryan. I want to reference this back to when I had you on the podcast. I think for the first time, I asked you. This was 3 years ago. I asked you, who do you think was the best angler at that moment? And I did not agree with you, but I have to apologize. You said you were minor. I'm like, how are you gonna pick a kid that doesn't even own a kayak? At that time he won so early. Like, is this his first year? I don't get it. Like, give it time. Maybe he just got a good streak. That kid is a hammer. And the fact, and honestly, he's been robbed of 2 AOYs. If the rules would have been reversed, that kid should have back-to-back AOYs because the rule wasn't in place one year. He didn't win it. Shout out to Jordan Marshall. He won it. No hate there, of course.
I mean,
Uh,
you have to finish big in the big event. That's what's got him
Yeah.
the last 2 years. You have to. I mean, the way the format that they had, it was set up to where your
yeah.
performance on the big stage against all the other best anglers is what made the move there, and that's what stubbed his toe
Yeah,
a little bit on that
he's
deal.
at 796.
Dude, I mean, it's insane. Like, and that, Armando, when I said that years ago, like he
You
just
got it, man.
talking to him, he's very confident, almost too confident, but he has so much just a fish brain, man, like just a fishy sense about how he approaches everything. We were talking about Broken Bow earlier. The way he caught those fish on Broken Bow when he won that pendulum swinging a drop shot through schools of smallmouth, just way offshore. Like, who else? Like, who is doing that? I mean, that's insane. Like, if you sat me on top of them for 2 hours, I would never be like, man, I should pendulum swing a drop shot through. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
I'd
No,
never come up with that.
he's good with his electronics, man. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Oh
just
yeah.
the fact is, one. I remember a comment he made a while back. He's like, he said something that he hadn't caught a limit or something around that, and then he started using his electronics, his live scope, because we know how live scope, there's all that controversy on it, but it takes some skill to really use it effectively, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. I
And
mean, not anyone can just pick it up and turn it on and it
no,
makes them catch
yeah, because
fish.
it's burned me, trying to use it. And so like yeah, he's really good. And and he utilizes it right. So yeah, there's no way to top him off. He's at 796.
He
He's
must. I mean, he has.
yeah.
Well, last year
I
he
can
did really
still
good.
I can
Last year he
still
did really good
yeah I can
on the
still mess up
TOS.
top 10 though at Rayburn.
He did
Eyes
really
on the
good
prize.
on the last year on the TOC. The year prior, it kind of felt. I don't want to say he choked because it's easy to meet a Monday morning quarterback this, right? But it was like he had the lead. We all thought he was going to win, and then he had a really bad TOC, and then you wonder, it's like being so young, did the pressure get to him? Did he overthink
No,
it?
that was Lake Eufaula that got to him. That place is trash. It
Mhm.
is absolute trash. He and I fished the same area, and I mean, it was tough. There wasn't any kind of predictable bite. It was just, cover water and hope you bump into fish. And Jordan Marshall is one of the best at
Yes.
that style of fishing. When it comes to just running a pattern forever, he'll cover 16, 18 miles in a day,
Mhm.
just chunking and winding, baby, just power fishing. Like that sets up for him where
Yep.
Ewing he's much more tactical. Like he will
Yeah.
figure out they're holding on this structure or this cover and just work that all day long. Like he's much more tactical.
Eufaula, I don't know. That sounds familiar. What was the Bass Nation or Bassmaster Kayak Series Championship this year? Was
Chickamauga.
Oh, Chickamauga.
Chickamauga.
Yeah, I
Oh, yeah.
remember somebody being
Oh
in
yeah.
first place.
Yeah.
And then
I remember
Man,
a guy.
dude,
I
I went.
remember that story being familiar. I remember
I
a
was
guy
at that event. I was at Chickamauga, and
Bro, that one hurt. That one hurt. I think that's what actually tore my Achilles was me falling on my face that hard in that tournament. It just weakened it at least for sure.
yeah,
I feel I'm rooting for you and Minor, but at the same time, I mean Jackson Orr finally he gets a win this year at the Hobie BOS, which he hasn't gotten. It eluded him. Great story. He comes second place to his dad and another on the trail before that.
that guy's a
He ha-
beast.
yeah, Jackson is a beast now. I think for a time there he really focused on other stuff outside of kayak bass fishing, and it seemed like he kind of you and Minor took that torch as being like the young kid that's slaying, the more experienced hammers. But
Yeah.
now Jackson Orr I don't know if he's feeding off of your Minor or what, but he had a great season. I would have, if your Minor wasn't there, I would have said, man, I really want to wish Jackson Orr to win it. So I'm kind of torn which one I want to win. But I mean, both great
I think
gentlemen.
Ewing's due for it, man. Like I think he's put in
Yeah.
so much hard work and he's had so much success for 3 years in a row now. Like, come on, like he's got to win it. This
get
year,
it, yeah.
man. Like,
He's got to get it this year.
Yeah.
It would be, I think, a disappointment for all of us not to see him
Mhm.
win it.
Yep.
So we
Agreed.
definitely hope he.
I'm
he
sure
gets
I'm
it.
sure his dad will agree as well.
Where am I sitting there? I'm way down there in a 30.
Let me see if I can find you here. Dusty Yackers 6. Jody
Yeah,
Quinn.
Dusty's had a really good year.
Yes, he has. Nolan Minor, another young hammer. Your Minor's older brother, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Consistency, Jordan Marshall.
Jordan
17.
Marshall.
He always is at
can
7 or
I
8.
knock Jordan Marshall out if I win first place?
Ooh.
Maybe. Where are you? Jason
I don't know.
Broach,
Let's go
Jay
down because
Wallen,
I only got 3 tournaments under my belt.
Guillermo, Adams, Steven. I don't see you, Russ Snyder. Russ Snyder being 17.
No, but I'll get my 4th event in if I win first at Rayburn. What does that put me at?
See, this is what I'm talking about right here. So when you say, "Oh yeah, you're in for sure," no, you're not, because there's 78 other factors that could play into it.
And I'm so Ryan Lambert's ahead of you, Rolando.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's got 4 events in. He's got 4 events. I only got 3 events under my belt.
Oh, because you have to. Yeah. You have
fished a million.
Joe McElroy, Justin.
There it is, right there. I'm 55
Rolando's
with 3
55.
events.
So what do you?
So if I get 200 points, is that what it is?
Yep.
So if I get 200 points, that puts me at 772. Where does that put me at?
772.
Yeah.
That puts right out of the top 10.
No, 772.
Oh, 772. I apologize. Right out of the top.
That puts me in 4th.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I got to win Rayburn.
No pressure, pal.
Well, honestly, Rolando, I think the safe bet is on you to win in that tournament.
Nah, man,
Safe bet.
that
Oh no.
dude,
Oh
no,
no.
no.
It's your. Who do you
That
think
lake
is going to
no.
win that?
that lake's gonna fish. Well, here's the deal. When I won Toledo, that weather played a big role into it. It kind of knocked out a lot of the local guys, a lot of the stuff that was, you know, that they were depending on. This, you going into Rayburn with the low levels, is kind of helping me because those shallow fishermen, um, I'm not sure how good the shallow bite's going to be. Going to check it. Obviously, I'm going to be there Tuesday, but it's not going to fish like Rayburn's normally fishing with that water level down. And with the water level down, and I don't know what the temps have been. I need to check what the temps have been at night. The turnover in the past, I think it was in 2019, I had checked the turnover had happened early in September. Now, that's
Turnover?
not, yeah, the
You think
turnover.
that lake that big turns over?
Oh yeah.
It depends. It's on the north side. It just depends on what side of the lake you're on.
Hmm.
Now, and when the turnover happened early, it was also on a drawdown. So I have to figure out what condition that lake's going to be in when I and you got to pay attention to stuff, right? You're going to get clues, rate bait, watching your unit, obviously seeing the water when the turnover happens. You'll get some of the bottom sediment come up. Things are going to turn around. So you got to pay attention to all that. So based on all of that, if that's happening while we're there, that's going to shake up things. I mean, it can be anybody's game because it's going to throw things off, right?
Well,
The fish are going to be in a funk, so to speak, and
well,
you're going to be chasing them a lot.
two things that I take away from what you've done. First of all, you're kind of undefeated in the last two seasons in Texas and the Hobie BOS, right? Like you won Toledo, you won Cattle. What other trails have been in Texas for the Hobie BOS? So that's the last two, right? And you won the last two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
I
you,
guess you could say that.
so you got that. And one thing, and I've said this before, and I'm not just saying because you're here, Orlando. You heard me talk about it even when you've not been on the show. One of the things that everyone has something, that it factor that helps them out. Like we're talking, your minor, his it factor is just being able to use the electronics more efficiently than anybody else.
Mhm.
Jordan Marshall, he doesn't even back before this season hardly use electronics. That's his thing. I think your thing, Rolando, and again, you heard me talk about it. You correct me if I'm wrong. You're one of the best anglers I've seen at adapting. Toledo Bend, night and day conditions between day one and day two. People that listen to my podcast are tired of me saying this, but the most clutch thing that I've ever seen is you get the biggest bag on day one. You look at what you expect the conditions to be in day two. Overnight, you decide you're gonna do something completely different in a completely different area for the lake after getting the biggest bag on day one, and you end up with the biggest bag on day two. I don't know anybody that has that confidence and the guts to say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do that." I mean, and we saw it on Cato too. Cato was, the conditions weren't that drastic, but there was a huge thunderstorm during the evening and the early part of the lines out that changed the conditions, and you again adapted and came out with a big win. You were throwing a jerkbait, which Ryan, I know you had him on your podcast. I saw your face when he said he wanted on a jerkbait. That was,
Yeah.
you have that in you, Rolando. So I wouldn't be surprised if this conditions that are going to affect local anglers that are going to fish history. I don't think it's going to affect you as much as it's going to affect other anglers.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I practiced on Rayburn, and I didn't catch a massive bag, but I did get a feel for what the lake was kind of doing. And there's going to be a shift of things. I think going into the tournament towards the end of September, and it all depends on the weather because I got to watch the night temperatures. Really, what's gonna dictate whether that shallow bite will be there or not.
How do you think that offshore like brush pile bite is going to be? Like that's one of the things that you hear about Rayburn often, but especially I feel like, in these summer months in the fall. Like do you think that's where it's going to be won if you had to put money on it?
Actually, what I think is going to happen is that I think you're going to have to chase fish between shallow and deep, because what's happening right now is you have a lot of fish that want to be shallow
Mhm.
because I saw a lot of fish, a lot of bait in the coves, but they're still dropping the lake.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're still dropping
So
the
it's
lake.
counterintuitive. The fish are wanting to pull in, but they're actually getting pulled back out because the
They're
lake's
getting
dropping.
pulled back out a little bit, and I think there's going to be a sweet spot.
Yeah.
There's going to be a sweet spot, and it's not going to be entirely offshore. I think that if you put all your eggs in a basket thinking that offshore completely is going to do it, I think you're going to miss out on some really good sized fish in shallow. You're just going to have to time it right. And the
Ryan,
thing is,
okay,
yeah,
I'm
and
sorry.
it's because there's a lot of bait out there, and there's a lot of fish schooling. You have to be in the right areas.
Ryan, you're friends with Mike Iaconelli. What do you need to do to get Rolando into the Bass University, the kayak series? Because this guy's an encyclopedia. Like there has to be a way for Rolando to teach a course on that. I
I
mean,
gotta
I would
dedicate
pay
more
money for
fishing
that.
time, dude. I
I've
gotta
already
dedicate.
I already put his name on the list when I first made it like 2 years ago. So it's just get like they're just going down the list, working with these different anglers, checking off the topics. Like we had like 100 and something topics that we came up with, and I think we had 20 something anglers on the list. So
Yeah.
so
Well, I
Definitely.
appreciate that, Ryan.
that's coming. Don't worry.
No, and it should. And I mean, all jokes aside, talking. That's why I say I don't care how strict Rolando is and how boring it may be, on the days before fishing. I'm rooming with this guy just so I can, soak up all the knowledge that he does share and helps out in a way that is not considered intrusive or team fishing or anything like that. He's great at motivating and just kind of giving you clues and thinking like, do this, do that. I remember, and I'll share this story on Dardanelle last year. We pre-fished it. Rolando, I didn't pre-fish with Rolando. We were like, Rolando was like, I'm going here. I want you to go where you want to go and look for you want to do and see what you want to do. Don't just tag along with me. And I think one day we did kind of like, okay, I already pre-fished that one. You already pre-fished that one. The only other area is this one. It's not that we're tagging along, but we're going to both pre-fish that area. The night before the tournament, I was really struggling with pre-fishing. I remember telling Rolando, man, what spots are you gonna hit? I'm thinking this, I'm thinking that. And you told me it's like the best thing to do is find your own way. And he gave me a good pep talk to get me like emotionally and mentally into the game plan. But it wasn't like throw this bait, do this, this is how I caught him. It was more like helping me think what are the fish doing, what did you try, and I think, and I had my best day that I've ever had on a tournament, my base placement
Oh
on
yeah,
that
you
tournament
smashed
26.
that day, man.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
put Ryan Lambert on Sunday too, which still
Yeah.
haunts me, by the way.
Hey, it
But
happens, brother. There'll be plenty of them. You keep fishing, there'll be plenty of those. I promise.
it really speaks to, I mean, if you, for those that are looking to get into this tournament and like myself at some point felt intimidated, you know, try to talk to these anglers that are considered hammers or PKAs, whatever you want to call them, and be upfront and talk to them and be honest. Don't try to pretend you're something you're not, and just be, you know, give you a chance to self to be vulnerable and say, hey, I'm getting into this. What do I need to look? Don't ask him how to catch it. Just ask him how do you can learn what they've learned. I think that's very important.
And you can learn from anybody. Like there's always
Hmm.
something that
Yeah.
someone else has to teach you. Like everybody, kind of sees things from a different viewpoint, and it may not be, a lure presentation or something, but it may be more about like strategy, like don't leave fish to find fish, or just something
Yeah.
teaching you to be stubborn or teaching you to ramp hop. Like if it's not working here, then pick up and go somewhere else. Like there's always a different way to go about it. So I encourage. That's why I like the group settings, and always I try to make sure whenever we are on the road somewhere, like just to put out an open invitation. If anybody wants to come, hang out, be around people, meet new people, whatever. I always want to have that out there because, I think that's one of the biggest opportunities for new anglers, just to come in and make a friend and, learn something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about the community. I mean, at the end of once lines in day one, yeah, it's about placement and getting a check and all that. But I think beyond that, it's about the community. And unfortunately, a lot of times, the bad stuff is the one that gets more publicity. But really, I haven't had any single situation where I felt like, oh, this is bad or this is negative. It's the way you look at it. And for the most part, 99% of the people that are out there are really just want to have fun and are more than willing to help you have fun as
Yep.
well and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Agreed. No, and one of the things that Ryan mentioned is, yeah, you can learn from anybody, man. Even
Yep.
like I always, if it's your first time doing a uh, uh, national event, unfortunately, sometimes when it's your first time, you like to talk a lot, and
Yeah.
so sometimes you end up, you're listening to those guys, and you're like, oh wow, I hadn't thought about that, but shoot, I'll check that,
Yeah. Don't say too
so
much. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
don't say too much, but yeah, you'll learn sometimes from the newbies, man. And so it's never good to always think that you know all the answers, especially if you've been fishing a long time. You tend to stick to your ways, and unfortunately, fishing is one of those things that where the playing level, the level field of thinking what you know is not always accurate. So like you can pick up information from anybody, and all of a sudden you're like, shoot, you know what, I don't know nothing about damn fishing. You know what I'm saying? I was like,
It really is. There's no one specific formula
no,
that's
there's
gonna
not.
help you catch sheep fish. It's gonna be could be the same lake, uh, same weather, 2 days apart. It can be
it
completely different fishing.
Yeah, no, it's different when you're like I used to fish locally in the same lake and do a bunch of stuff, and I think if you fish the same lake and you get the you kind of get the what's the word I'm looking for here, the kind of the routine of things, what's going on the lake. But when you start traveling to different parts of the country, man, you start realizing like, holy moly, I really don't know that much.
Yeah.
And then you start to really, that's where my whole analytical way of thinking starts to kind of play. Like the weather, you got to know, you got to understand the species, you got to understand the conditions. And then that's when that stuff starts to help you out a little bit when you start traveling around.
By the way, Ryan, I think Lance McWhorter was talking about his subscription to Bass University. He watched some of your, series. You're there, right? So that's what he's talking about. He learned from that.
Lance learned all kinds of stuff from me. Don't worry.
Good or bad.
We have late night conversations from time to time.
We
Hey,
can do a whole segment on that one.
What do you guys think about that new lure from Six Sense, that whole panorama stuff?
I haven't seen that
I
one.
haven't seen it, man.
You haven't seen it?
No, hold up.
Like
Now I
it's
have
been
to.
all over the freaking social media.
Bro, I don't know. I
You
hadn't
guys
seen it.
talk between
I
yourself
hadn't
while
even
I-
been thinking about fishing. I think
Been working.
well, I mean, I hadn't been able to fish since June. I forced that lacrosse
Mm.
tournament, so I've just been pretty much out of the deal. I've been
Yeah.
focusing on hunting stuff. Like I've been shooting my bow, trying to get ready for this elk hunt, and we did some bird shooting this week. And I changed focus in the fall, man. Like if I can
Yeah.
get into a championship, that's great. If I can't, I'm going hunting. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I got a friend
What
of
what
mine
is
that has
what
some
is the
land
new
here.
bait?
I got it here on the. I'm
Okay,
gonna
all
screen.
right.
It looks like the new from Berkeley. That's kind of like the gilly, but it's more like a shad instead of you know the
Yeah,
gilly,
it's
right?
apparently it's accounted for some really big fish for Josh Jones and Milliken, but
Nope, I don't want to do. There we go.
yeah, it's
Oh
it
wow. Oh, I have seen that. I have seen that
Yeah,
on
I think I
social
saw it
media,
today
correct.
on an Instagram reel.
Yeah.
I watched it on a drop shot and I was like, holy crap.
So that's what
It looks
I remember.
freak.
That's what I read. They were throwing some of these bigger ones on like nose hooked or something. I was
Yeah.
like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I saw one rigged up on the drop shot, the 5 inch, and
Uh,
the action on it. I'm just like I'm like it literally looks like a real fish.
really?
Yeah.
It looks like thought I saw Christine Fisher made a reel,
Oh, did she?
but not on this one. On the Berkeley's version
It
of
was a
this.
Berkeley something. I saw it too,
Yeah,
like reeling really
Mm.
fast through the water or
yeah.
something.
It very similar.
Yeah.
which goes back to all the controversy now of copying things and all that. But yeah, I mean, it looks. I've used the gilly, the small one, and I've caught some nice bass with it. So
Hmm. Yeah,
and
if you
shout out
rig
to
it up.
Christine Fisher. I rig it just like she
Yeah.
showed in her video when she was fishing the Brazos.
Hmm.
And I was like, yeah, no, I started rigging it that way, and I actually had some nice bites on it. So shout out to her for that.
Yeah, she's got some good tips, man. She spends enough time on the water to validate what she's saying is accurate.
Speaking of hammers, J.R. Mockabee, that's another one. If he's fishing that Sam Rayburn, Ryan, you don't know
I,
him. J.R. Mockabee is, if he
I
decided to go national trails and fish it all that, chase those
He's the
national
frog king over
AOYs,
here.
he would wreak havoc on a lot of people's pocket. He is a
Okay.
great angler.
That guy finds a frog bite no matter where.
In the middle of winter, sub-zero temperatures, you'll find a
You
frog
see that
bite.
stuff a lot, man. Like you'll get these early spring tournaments when you think there wouldn't even be a topwater bite, and then somebody goes and throws a frog all day and just wrecks them.
He
Yeah.
won the not last year, the year before 2021 Lone Star Throwdown on a topwater on
Yeah.
Steelhouse.
Was on Stillhouse. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely a hammer. Well, guys, I've had you for an hour. I know you guys are tired. You've been working all day, so I want to keep you too much. I'll give each one of you a chance to, plug in whoever you want to plug in. Ryan, I know you got more to plug in with everything you're doing. So all the sponsors that you have, the plethora on KBN. So go ahead.
Yeah, just go watch KBN, man. No, obviously, the team dugout, they really support everything that we do, whether it's Steve-O running the Bass Nation stuff or Jeff and I with the podcast. They're great for all of our local trails, Bass Nation and whatnot. And then, honestly, just support all these little platforms. I mean, we all have our own little thing and kind of our own spin on stuff. I encourage you to listen to, multiple podcasts and shows and just expand your mind, get some different viewpoints. And like we said earlier, you can learn something from everybody. So the more knowledge you expose yourself to, the more you're going to absorb. That's my plug.
I've learned from Josh Smith, Dugwater's kayak fishing. Tell you that much. So there you go.
Yeah, I need. They're in Georgia, aren't they?
They are, yeah. Marietta,
Yeah.
Georgia, right outside of
to
Atlanta.
move. I need to move, man.
Not from Texas, Rolando, go ahead, plug in.
Yeah,
your
no,
sponsors
man.
and all that.
For me, it's just I don't have a lot of sponsors. I only have outdoor alphas here locally in San Antonio, and Z Pro who support me, and J Rods Custom Build and Repairs who build some special technique rods like my jerk baits and stuff like that. But on a separate note, I do mortgages. So anybody in Texas, that's what I do. I was an underwriter for 10 years. So I did all the back end stuff, and now I'm on the sales side, and it's not the best time to be in it. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, it's tough right now.
But
My
you
buddy's
got
a real
questions?
estate agent. He sent me a message today. He's like, "Hey man, if you know anybody buying a house, like give him my number."
Yeah.
Both Orlando and I are working right now in real estate. I do home inspections, and it's been tough the last, in summer is usually, that's a bad thing about it. Summer is usually when we get, cut our teeth in. And summer started off good, but man, those interest rates, billing.
I think a lot of people are just nervous to turn loose
Yeah.
some money right now. Understandably so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking your time. For all those that watch and commented, Lance, JR, Steve Fields, Kyle Burns, Lance. Man, thank you, Lance. For coming.
Lance been all over tonight. Shout out to Steve Fields too, by the way. We were talking about Bassmasters and their media. Steve Fields does an excellent job with the media for Hobie and keeping the social media fresh and TikToks and whatnot. That it wasn't to discount anything that Steve Fields does. He does great with it. I think what we were saying there more on just the Bassmaster, the whole platform that they have, where your name is up there next to an elite, an elite series guy. Like that's something that is just unique to that.
And by the way, congratulations, Steve Fields. I think he got a promotion this year, right? When the season started, right?
Steve Fields is a promotion. He runs the world of Hobie. You can't get any higher than Steve Fields.
Richie, you owe me the scores for Thursday night football. You got me spoiled from last week. But anyways, thank you all for also Albert from Canyon Lake Anglers. So appreciate you tuning in. Check us on our Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, Bass Kayak and Beers. To my guests and people watching, thank you so much. Have a great night, everyone. Wear your PFDs. If you're gonna have a couple of beers, just drink responsibly.